everyone, welcome back to Behind the Star. If you're new to my channel, well, this is a sports channel about sports authenticity, if you can put it that way. It's all about people telling their stories and having the right to own their truth. And really, this is what this channel is all about. So welcome back for those who are subscribers and who know of this channel. And for all those who are new, well, this is Behind the Star. I'm Baliskiti. Well, I have a very exciting guest today, because we are talking all things women's football, and I'm so excited because she's a former Banyana captain. She's currently the head coach of the UJ women's football team, and my goodness, she's just an incredible person who's just, if you watch football and women's football and you see her on TV and she's an analyst, well, that's exactly what she does. She's not just a coach, she's a sister, she's a daughter, she's a friend, she's a captain. Listen, she has earned her stripes when it comes to South African football. So please help me welcome. They call her Coach Dunga, but her ID says Nthabeleng.
Oh, wow.
Modiko.
No.
Coach Dunga.
Yes, Mbali.
Finally,
yeah. We're here in this nice place. Very nice place.
Thank you so much for coming. I was so excited. You know, I was with Coach Dunga just last week, right? We were at the UEFA Assist program for the women's, about women's leadership in football. And I was just like, for me, it was more about when I go there, yes, I'm going to get all this great knowledge and wisdom and whatever from UEFA people, but it was more of the connections I'm going to make and who's going to be in the room. Yeah. And I'm so glad I went, because I made so many connections with so many women across the country, you know, who are administrators, who are in SAFA executives across the provinces, who are coaches, who are players, who are this, who are that. And you realize that there's so many parts to this football in South Africa, so many moving parts that make this engine work together. It's not just men, but it's also the ladies as well who are doing like incredible things behind the scenes and on the field as well. And you're one of them. I mean, the work you're doing with women's football is great, but you know, for those who really don't know Coach Dunga, we have to really start from the beginning, because you're from Free State.
I am. Born and bred, Mozolo, High Kronstadt.
Ah, okay. Tell us a little bit about growing up go Free State, and you know, was football always the plan for you?
I don't want to lie to you and say it was always the plan. It was never the plan.
Yeah.
I just happened to be surrounded by football everywhere I looked. My dad, my uncles, especially from my dad's side, they always just, you know, played football every weekend. There was always something on offer. It's either a KC Abjwala or it's either, you know, a sheep, something, you know, that they're playing for. And I just fell in love with kicking. You know, I just like to kick this round thing. I need to do a trick or two. And at some point, I don't know, I was traveling with them, going to the games, watching them play, not knowing exactly what it is that they are doing, but just fascinated by the joy that this thing brings to them. And that's how the bug bit me.
At what age do you decide, okay, you know what, I think I'm going to make a career out of this thing called football? It's not just about kicking a ball, but I really think I can take this all the way to the national team. At what age do you make that decision?
I think when I was doing my final year at university at UOFS, the University of the Free State, that's when I said, you know what, I'm going to pass and I'm going to hand this degree to my parents, because this is what they wanted for me. Yes, I was an A student. I loved accounting, still love accounting, but I just felt some type of way about soccer. You know, I could miss a class and go to soccer, which was wrong, and I'm not even advocating for it, but I used to do that. I'd miss a class and go to soccer. I'd miss a test and go play a tournament. And I think in my final year, I said, okay, I'm going to get you guys the degree, and then you need to allow me to do what I actually want to do, which is to play the game. And I didn't have any visions of actually making a career besides I needed to play in the national team. I always just felt I'm going to play in the national team, you know, because the national team would come to Bloemfontein at some point and they play there or they train there, and I'd be right there, Moses Saramabori Stadium, waiting, watching. And it didn't help much my case because Mathamalaku, she was also a player in the national team, and she's my aunt. So I used to see football practically
Everywhere.
everywhere. You know, I never really got to sit down with her and ask her how the national team is, because I thought the national team was just a club, you know, that one happens to end up at. So after getting my degree, I said, bye guys, bye Free State, and UJ came knocking and said, hey, we've got a school bursary for you. It can pay all of your fees. We just want you to come and play. And I said, I'm gone. My parents, they were half and half in it. My mom was like, let her be, you know, she's done what we've asked of her, let her be. And my dad was not happy with that. And knowing that I'm coming to the big bad, Johannesburg, was not sitting well with him. I think I played with him, I bargained with him up until the night before I needed to leave. And only then he was like, okay, only if I come with you, I need to see where you're going to stay and where it is that I'm going to leave you. And then I'll be happy. At least I'll be content. I can allow you to leave. And I was like, sure,
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm glad you touched on that, because I actually wanted to ask you about how the support was when you're like, okay, I'm going to, you know, in your goal, you know, to just pursue this football dream, you
Yeah.
know, to chase the dream. Your dad already had a club. So you already speak about your aunt. So football was something that was surrounding you. It was everywhere. But like every other parent, education always has to come first, because our parents always like, you need something to fall back on
Yeah.
just in case, you know, just in case. So how was that support as well, considering that you're also from a blended family as
Yeah.
well? See. Let's talk about your siblings
Yeah.
as well. How it was just growing up in a blended family, because in our African cultures we don't have step siblings. You don't have half siblings.
You can't say
your
that.
mother is your mom, whether she's a stepmom. Your sister is your sister, whether she's half, she's a quarter, she's a piece, she's a something, but she is your sister. So how was it growing up in a blended family and then just having that support from them so that you can also chase your dreams in Johannesburg?
Yeah, I think growing up, honestly, my house was loud, you know, and I always just used to either contribute by saying nothing, because my mom and dad would be like, hey, la rasa man, le bangata, la rasa, la re confuse. So I always just, my place of peace would always be at the grounds. So I'd never be at home. So doing chores and the cooking and everything that they needed to be doing, I'd never be there because I'm out there playing football. And at some point, my sisters were upset with me. I remember in matric, they said, no ways, you know, this thing of you, if you're not at soccer, you're at school. If you're not at soccer, you're at school, and you end up not doing
House chores.
you know. We need to do away with something. You have to let go of one thing so that you can be able to assist us in the house. And my dad, you know, he was a strict, very strict man, and he used to say, we can take away soccer, we can't take away education. Education is not something that we need to be, you know, negotiating with at all. Like, you never speak about education, but we can take away soccer, or you can work double. You do your chores before you go to school, and then from school you go to soccer straight. You don't even need to come back and help with the house chores. Or you don't do them before school and you sacrifice soccer. It's up to you. So I had to learn to juggle from there. So early in the morning I'd wake up, I'd do my chores, and I'd be gone. The next time they see me is around 6 p.m. I'm coming back, I'm tired, I don't know where my socks are, I don't know where the school tie is. It's somewhere, I've got a soccer bag and I've got a school bag and something, you know, every time I get home around 6 p.m., that's that. And so my sisters were like, this one, she's getting away with too much. Let's get her to do something extra again, you know, because she's got time in any case. 6 p.m. when I arrive, it's dinner time. Food is ready, you know, the house is clean. My parents are not necessarily, you know, frustrated with everybody. So they started saying, you need to do the dishes, which was an addition to everything that I'm doing. And I'm also in matric. So I had to juggle. I think it taught me from then on to juggle a lot of things at the same time and to be meeting and completing each one.
What kept you driven? Because there's a lot that was on your plate, but you still look like you were still so focused on the bigger picture. What kept you driven?
I believe that, you know, God doesn't allow you to dream about things and similar things for a long period and there's not an end to it. You know, you dream about kicking a ball on this large pitch, or you dream about scoring this goal, and you wake up in a sweat because, wow, you were running in your dream. And it has to have an end. I think that's the one thing that was pushing me daily. You know, my trainings, I would call myself Veronica Pewa or Posha Mdise, or, you know, when I'm running with the ball, I'll be talking to myself like that. Veronica Pewa passes this to that, and then, like as if I'm commentating. So my playing the game was based on that dream that I always used to have every second night. You know, it wasn't a bad dream. It wasn't you wake up in a cold sweat. Not that kind. It's a happy dream. You wake up and I see green patches of grass. I see a ball. I see people watching. And that's all I wanted to do, you know, whenever I would go out and play. But that alone was not the only dream. I still had the dream of finishing school because my older siblings had finished, they'd finished their matric, but my family didn't really have the finances to, you know, take them further. So when it was my turn to be in matric, I started hearing about bursaries and school scholarships and all of those things. And I was like, I'm going to ace my, you know, my matric because I need to leave Kronstadt. I can't be like my sisters or my older brother. I need to actually leave and see where what's there outside of Kronstadt.
Yeah. Was spirituality a big part of your family?
It was. It is.
Yeah. Tell me about your relationship.
All we know in the house is to pray.
Yeah.
We pray when we wake up. We pray before we sleep. My mom used to say to me, you know, sometimes you'd say, like, okay. So I've got a thing. My biggest pet peeve is flies. You see, I can't stand flies. Okay. I can't stand flies. And this one time I said, hey, I don't know. You know? And she's like, not in my house. And we prayed.
Yeah.
On the spot. Wow. We prayed for the flies to leave. I don't know if they left, but that was the prayer. So I'm someone who prays. Even in the car, as I'm driving, I'll just have a moment and I'll switch the radio off and I'll just pray. Whilst my eyes are open, I'm not closing my eyes, of course. If I'm cooking, I'll pray or I'll sing or something like that because I was brought up like that.
Yeah.
We were not like Sunday to Sunday churchgoers, but we were prayers in the house. We still are. Now my mother is like Sunday to Sunday churchgoer because there's nothing to do at the house. We are all gone. We are all grown up. So she enjoys the time, go or at a church conference somewhere. So yeah.
So are you a Sunday to Sunday now that you're staying by yourself?
No. No.
Oh, you're a heathen now.
No, I'm not a heathen. No. I'm not a heathen. I stopped going to church, I think 6 years ago. And the reason was the preacher started preaching about something that I was like challenging in my head and in my heart. And I just went back home and I said, Lord, I'm sorry, but I can't go back there. Because you have taught us to love. You know, you have taught us to have patience, have compassion, show compassion to other people and to ourselves as well. I can't judge someone based on their nationality and say, I don't like you because you're from this nationality. I can't judge you based on your race. You know, yes, there's history. In each and every country, there's history, you know, the turmoil of blacks and whites. And the Bible teaches me differently in terms of love. And I can't judge anyone based on their sexual orientation. I can't judge anyone based on you are married in Bali and I'm not married, therefore you are better than me. I don't believe in that. And I think the mistake, I call it a mistake, that the preacher did was to just bash on the beliefs that he has, but pushing them as if they are from the Bible. You have to believe this way because of the Bible. And so I said, God, you know I love you, my brother, but nah, I can't go back there until I can feel that I've always believed and I've always been taught that the church is the hospital. The congregants are patients. There's no one who's healthy in there. All of us, we've got our own sicknesses. You can't go into the hospital if you are sick. If you are not sick, you stay at home. So if you feel you are sick, you go to church and you get healing and you get your medication continuously and you come out.
Yeah.
And especially if you know that you are suffering from something, it's something that is personal to you. You go to church to get your healing, not for people to see that you were at church, not for the pastor to know your name because you are a regular churchgoer, just for you to get your healing. So
I want you. So our pastor likes saying this phrase that is so in case you're cool,
yes,
because you're all sick.
we are all
And
sick.
then you put it rightly so. It's a hospital where people come to get better, to be uplifted, because people come from different backgrounds. You don't know if someone's about to jump off a bridge when they, leaving that service, or someone is depressed, someone just got raped, someone comes from an abusive home. So everybody's carrying something coming into that place. But I wonder, like, did you not think, okay, maybe let me try a different church, or you're just like, at war, let me pump the brakes a bit on this?
I think the church that I was attending here in Joburg, which I was going every Sunday, I was still at university at the time. And even after I was done at UJ, I kept on going because my spirit would just be uplifted.
Yeah.
Every time. I would go there and I would have some form of joy. And it's only okay, let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
The issue was there's a church for general, and then there's the youth segment of it, right? So it so happened that the church for general would take place early in the morning, the morning sermon, 8 to 10, 10 to 11:30, I think. And then the rest of the day you're off, and then you can go back again, 6 p.m. 6 p.m. is for the youth. It's more charismatic and vibey and all of that. So I had missed, because the night before I was partying. So the following day, I missed the morning sermon and I went to the evening one. And when we got to the evening one now, the singles were being bashed on with like, look, to your left, to your right, there's someone who's like, could be your guy or your girl, you just need to mingle. And I was like, wait, what? No, I'm not about that life. There's a choice that I make, that I live by, which is I am going to date or I'm not going to date. There's nothing wrong with me. It's my choice. So I can't come to church and now be asked or kind of like persuaded to date for the sake of we want to grow the church. Of course, once you start dating, then the courtship needs to lead to something, which leads to family, which leads to kids and all of those. Those are not things that I'm seeing at that moment. So I didn't feel comfortable with that. And on top of that, I think 2 or 3 sermons later, there's a gentleman who's now kind of like saying, oh, hi, how are you? Can I take you out? And I was like, wait, what? No. No, wait.
I'll phone back shade.
No, wait. Not even that. It's just that I felt it's too acted, it's too planned. This thing needs to happen organically.
Yeah.
For me, that's my belief. I've always asked my mom and dad how they met. My mom was sick. My dad was just they work at the same place. They worked at the correctional services. And my mom fell sick at work and had to be taken to hospital. My dad had never seen her. And my dad was doing rounds, with prisoners. My dad was just checking some of the prisoners and happened to say, hey, who's that? You see, so that's how they met. I feel that's not planned. It's just organic. Nobody knew that on that day when my mom was sick, they would meet. They just met. So where now we are being told, all the singles, please stand there. Now it's almost like you are, some piece of a meat that's put there and someone must come and pick and choose with like, I want that. Nah, I wasn't happy with that at all. And I just decided, let me not bash the church. Let me just walk away. Maybe I'm the one with the problem. Let me just walk away.
All right.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. And it's great to always walk away on your own terms. And I feel like coming into your career, I think that's how we can summarize it. Yes, you had an up and down, sort of almost a roller coaster ride when it came to the national team. But I think one thing at the end is that you left on your own terms. But I really want to get into just then your transition coming into Joburg and making it into the national team first in 2006 and in 2010. And at that time, Coach Augustine was your coach. With a lot of controversy. that was surrounding the national team
Yeah.
when he was still the coach. But how did you find yourself at Banyana Banyana? And how was, let's talk about your first time there before you got dropped. So
Yeah.
let's talk about 2016.
2006.
2006.
Yeah, 2006. I was playing for the University of the Free State. We went for the Sasol playoffs.
Yes.
At the time, it was called Vodacom playoffs.
Okay.
So the winners of each and every province go to the playoffs, and then we'll get the champions. So we went to such a thing, and I think that's where he kind of like saw me playing, and he called me up for camp. Okay, I went to camp. Balina was a joke at that camp. I know. I can't even fault them for dropping me. I was not ready. I was not mentally prepared, and I went there and I saw Veronica Kapewa. I saw Poshamdise. I saw who was there? Delisile Mbata. I saw names that I'm like, this is someone on my wall. You know, I've got this poster. I've got this. Oh my goodness. So I was just a fangirl at the time. Anything that they wanted, you know, if they had said to me, hey, give me your bib, I was going to take it off and say, here's your bib.
So you didn't feel part of the team?
No,
you felt like a fan?
I felt like I'm a fan. I knew that I needed to go and participate, but I just didn't have the belief in myself that I can actually make it into the national team. So the camp that I went there, we worked very hard. I worked hard, but even still, you know, in the stillness of my room, I'd be like, am I really here? I wasn't ready, you know. We played a match against Tanzania, one of the qualifiers, and I played maybe the last 5-10 minutes. I did a lot of mistakes, but the coach still said, no, you're coming along all right, you know. But I feel the space and the time for me to make it into the national team at that time was not right. If I had made it, if I had stayed in the national team, I wouldn't have learned what I needed to learn to get to 2010.
So after 2 games, you get dropped. You get 2 caps in 2006, but there's a bit of a gap, but you make your way back in 2010. How do you how did you redeem yourself?
In 2010, I think I was now in Joburg. The scales had now been put off from my eyes. You know, you coming from Free State. Free State is not Gauteng. You know, there's the fast life of Gauteng that is not there in Free State. There's ways that people are living in Joburg that is not there in Free State. Free State is kind of like conservative, and I'm also from a very conservative family. You know, you always have to be thinking, is this decision gonna be good? Is it going to portray a good light on my family, or is it not? I always have to be thinking like that. So when I was called back into the national team, the first thing that I said to my little brother, I said, hey, I've been called for camp. And he said, hey, do you know anyone who's a celebrity there? And I said, this is triggering. But I'm glad that he asked it, because previously I had gone into camp and I was mostly concerned with Poshamdise, Veronica Kapewa. Are they going to say hi to me? Are they, you know, your Janines, your Mpumis, are they going to see me? Are they going to know my name? But this time around, when he asked me that, it kind of like brought me back to my center. And I said, actually, yeah, there are celebrities in the team. But this time around, I think I'm a lot mature. And I think I've been practicing and training to get back into the national team. The reason I said I want to come to UJ and I want to come to Johannesburg was for me to be closer to the national team. So now that I'm getting the call back, my mind is switched on. It's wired differently.
Yeah. So how was your relationship within the other players? Because I think the 2020... the 2010, in fact, 2010 as a year was a big year for South Africa. Besides the fact that we're hosting the World Cup and Bafana being there, but it was also a big year for Banyana because that's sort of like where the boat was rocked in a very negative way, right? For that particular generation of players, and you happen to be there, and you're one of the players at the center of everything. So tell us how you become captain, because we know it was around AFCON.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, the story. The coach at the time, Coach Augustine Makalakalani, was accused of sexual assault from a number of the players in the squad at the time. But yeah, that's the foundation. Run with it. Yeah, but because it's
Yeah.
always we see things from the newspaper's perspective.
Yeah.
But it's always great to actually hear from first-hand account as to exactly what happened in camp and what was your experience like, because it became a good and a bad thing for you. You
Yeah.
became captain, but at the cost of being isolated. So
True.
let's just talk about then the transition of 2010 and exactly like what transpired.
Yeah. Look, 2010, I get called back into the national team. I'm one of the juniors, but I'm also a senior in terms of my age. I'm trying to find my footing, and we got a number of camps. I think from February all the way, because it was preparation for the WAFCON, which was taking place in October, November in SA. So there were friendly matches in between. There was Cyprus matches that we went there in Cyprus and we played the cup, Cyprus Cup, and then a lot of qualifying matches. I think around June, July, maybe May, June, July, I can't remember specifically. I was now announced as the vice captain to Coach Shoti. She was the captain at the time. Oh, okay, I'm the vice captain. Okay, great. That's amazing. Whatever. I'm not thinking much about it. I'm just doing my job, doing my training. And when it comes to games, I do what I need to be doing. That's me at the time. And closer to WAFCON starting, Coach Shoti gets dropped as a captain. And now I'm supposed to be the new captain. And it's announced at a press conference where the full squad was going to be announced as well. Well, okay, names are being, this one has made it, that one, and we realize from the camp. So normally what they do at Banyana, I think it's maybe they've done away with it now, but previously what they would do is they would take maybe, if we are camping in Cape Town, they would take 2 Cape Town or Western Cape players and take them to the press conference for talks and questions and all of those things. And then they will announce. The rest of us, we are training, right? So they did the same. The press conference was in Joburg, and myself and Coach Shoti, I can't remember who was there, that person. We were there. And the rest of the team was training. So everyone who's in camp, they don't know if their names are out or not. Only us know. And we get told, don't announce. They will be told when we get to camp. Okay, great. So when we having this press conference, names are being mentioned, and then they say the captain will be Nthabeleng Modiko, and I'm like, how? Okay, it didn't hit me the first time because I was like, yeah, I'm captain because vice captain, right? They're still Shoti. But then the journalist asked and said to the coach, so what has happened? Why are you dropping Simpiwe Lulu and you are taking Nthabeleng Modiko as the captain? And at that time, I'm like, oh, snap. This is actually happening, And the coach says, no, it's my own decision. It's my decision, and it's a technical thing. And you know how coaches will answer, right? And then the journalist says, yeah, is it because you've now taken an interest or a liking in this one? You are done with this one. And it's now tense, because, of course, ears will be like, hey, what's happening? Who's being interested? And hey, what's happening? And the press conference was cut short. Let's go. We leave. Okay. Tournament plays. At this time, we are being told strictly, there should be no contact with your phone. There should be no contact with the outside world. Because I'm assuming they were trying to, keep the camp focused, keep us focused, so that we don't get this news that something is happening on the outside.
Yeah, distractions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have to focus better. We in South Africa, we have to play. We can't be having stories and all of those things. Okay. Fast forward to the tournament is done. We finished third. And then 2 weeks later, there was an event that we needed to attend. I think myself, the coach, as well as the team manager, we attended this event and at Nasrec. And when we had this event, people are starting to whisper. And I don't know. I'm ignorant, Mbali. I just live in my own space, in my own bubble. If you're not talking to me, I don't talk to you. It's fine. I don't like to gossip, if I may call it that. So talks are being done, but in hindsight, now I remember what they were talking about there. Because the following morning, I'm at rest, I get a phone call. The voice says, "Hi, I'm so-and-so from Sunday World newspaper. You know it?" I say, "I know it. Hi." And they're like, "So how was the tournament?" I'm answering from a captain's point. I've been doing these things right after matches. I'm answering, "No, tournament was good." Second question, "So are you sleeping with the coach?" How?
Sure. Wow.
What?
Straight, just like that.
Second question.
Wow.
I'm like, "No, what?" And then the person says, "No, why were you made captain and not Shorty? Why were you made captain and not Shorty? Are you also sleeping with the coach?" I hang up. I'm like, "Listen, I'm not going to answer this because honestly,
Wow.
I don't know where it's coming from and I don't know why I'm being asked this thing." Okay. Then a phone call comes in. It's my parents. And my parents are like, "So when we take you to Johannesburg, you begged us, you asked us that we should take you to Johannesburg because you want to go and play this game. And now what is it that we're seeing in newspapers that where now you are sleeping with the coach or you've slept your way to the top," something like that. And my parents, Pella, they don't beat around the bush. They are angry. You know, my dad is like livid. He's even saying, "You leave that team. You come back to Kronstadt now. You leave that school. I don't want to hear anything."
Sure.
And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And my dad had a big, there was a printout something in Sunday World which had a picture of me and a number of other players where we are accusing the coach that the coach is, kind of like touching us and sleeping with us. And if you're not sleeping with him, he doesn't play you. He doesn't, look at you in a good way. He's all of those things. And I'm like, "But guys, I know nothing about this. I've never slept with the coach. I've never flirted with the coach. I've been doing my business, which is to play the game, train hard, work hard. That's it." So when this thing was coming up, I was like, just dumbstruck. I was not knowing what's happened. And what's worse for me was the fact that I was a captain. So, you would have expected that the players would have come to you first, or they would have told the team manager that such a thing is happening. And honest to God, no one has ever said to me, "Hey, coach touched me," or "Coach said this," or whatever. So I'm not defending him, but I'm just saying from my point, from what I know.
You didn't know.
No one said anything to me about that. I never saw it. I never experienced it. And I can't even, try and support someone and say, "Oh, yeah, he did." Because as far as I know, he didn't. Yeah. So that's just rocked up my world, and it made me think two ways about the soccer thing, because my parents were now angry. And rightfully so. If my name is going to be put up in a newspaper article that I'm sleeping with a coach, no parent will be happy with that. No family would be proud of such a thing, because it tarnishes everything. Now you're no longer a good player. You are playing because there are some benefits that you're receiving. And I never, it just never stayed well with me. And I've always said this, even if he has done it, I'm sorry that for the people that have gone through it.
Yeah.
And I'm very much disgusted if indeed he has done such a thing, because it takes away from his own credit. It takes away from the credit of the game itself. And there's a lot of mothers, sisters, aunts that don't want their kids to be, preyed on. So it would be snacks. It would be something that I don't even want to talk about. I'm disgusted if indeed he has done it. And if he didn't, guys, we now have a name that we've kind of like tarnished. His reputation, his credibility, he's now out of the game. So I'm just there staying in my own darkness, because I don't know whether he did it for sure or he didn't. But for me, I never was touched. I never slept with a coach. No one came to me to say, "Hey, coach wants to sleep with me," or "Coach is asking favors in return for this." That's why I can't even witness for anyone.
So now, how did this now change your relationship within the camp? How was now the atmosphere and in the camp? And then you said that you being captain also, you expected to lead, but you are leading on something that you're completely in the dark about, and there's these big tournaments coming up. It's a big moment for the national team. How did the atmosphere change in the camp?
To say that I was sidelined is an understatement. I know for a fact that I stayed in my room because there was no one to talk to. Even in your downtime, you'd have people were staying tutus in their rooms, and as a captain, you stay by yourself, and you end up not having to talk to anyone. You've got no friends. You come into the change room or the eating place, and hey, you have to summon some power of just being, I don't care. I walk in, I say what I need to say, I sit down, I eat, and I walk away. But there is an element of friendship that I yearned for. Nowadays, we see each other and, hey, we don't really talk about, because there's nothing to talk about. We don't have a certain memories that we can, talk over, because that was that. You come into camp, you do what you need to do, you go back to your room.
Yeah.
And other players, I think maybe they can say it differently because they had roommates, they had friends. There wasn't the captain,
So you didn't share a room?
No, I didn't share a room.
Okay.
I didn't share a room. I think also it was another rule of the camp or of the national team that a captain has to stay by themselves, and then everyone else. But I think for that camp, we were 23, so maybe it makes sense for the captain to stay by themselves and then everybody else stays together. But for me personally, and it's got nothing to do with anyone, I'm not saying you and you never spoke to me. I'm saying it's very lonely because you come into a room and people keep quiet. Because of course you're a person of authority, I guess, but the element of a teammate, a friend, a person was missing for me, where I can just get into a room and people can forget that I'm a captain. Can you just talk to me because you can talk to me, and not necessarily guard yourself around me because you feel like maybe I'll snitch to the coach. So that also made it a little bit difficult to enjoy my time at the national team. And it's another thing that, when we speak of women not supporting each other, we mention in such things. You can surround someone, because I believe I'm the type of person, I even tell the girls, as a leader, you are best as a server. The best leaders are best servers, not necessarily bossing your way and you are in the front all the time. The best leaders are the ones that are actually supporting from behind. And I kind of needed that. But it's okay. We got a bronze. We'll share a memory. We've got pictures about that. But it did destroy us a little bit within camp.
Do you think we have an issue with women empowerment as women?
Yes.
We talk about women empowerment in theory, but do you think that we actually exercise it, considering that you've experienced the opposite end of that?
Yeah, I believe it strongly. I've never been to a place where a woman is leading and there are other women who are actually freely, without having to think about, what's at stake for me here? What do I stand to lose by following this one? And I think it's something that maybe we can say we are born with. And it's a bad thing to be born with that thing, because you need to be supporting regardless of the gender, regardless of who's standing in front of you. If you know that you are here, you are Mbali, and you've got a supervisor, support, regardless of who that supervisor is, or what you know about that supervisor, or what you think of that supervisor. There's moments, even now as a coach, I think a lot of women are struggling to actually lead teams because, hey, you have to talk to the other person within your technical team, and they are female, and they just don't regard you. They don't think that you are worthy of that position. But if it was a man in that position, they would, coil themselves. They would throw themselves on the floor. They would run as quickly as possible when that man is speaking. And I think it's a bad mentality. If you have respect, you have respect. You don't have to base it on anything. It doesn't have to have any condition.
Yeah.
You're respectful. That's that.
So are you happy with what you're seeing now in terms of the national team, women's football? I mean, it seemed like that whole controversy sort of died down with that generation of the women's national team. I mean, now we've sort of have this new pool of new faces, new coach, Desiree Ellis and everyone. and also her being a woman as a coach, are you happy with how the women's game is progressing? I mean, you're a coach right now. You're a head coach of UJ. And you play in the Hollywood Bets Super League, sitting top of the line. Let's just put it that way. So, yeah. So she's on a winning streak right now. But are you happy with what you're seeing and how the national team has sort of moved past all of that? Or do you still feel like there's a lot of work still to be done?
Yeah, no, there's work to be done, but at least we've moved. You know, credit must be given on that element. You know, having Coach Des, her technical team, the professionalism that they are now employing in the national squad, you know, you see how they are working. You know, if you were to watch one session, you realize as a coach of a club that, hey, there's so much that I still need to know and equip myself in terms of knowledge in order to get my players to that level. I'm happy with that. You know, I'm excited with that. What saddens me, I think, the most is the forgotten era. Previous era, our era, the era behind. And then there's this elite one, which is amazing. We support them, we love them, we cherish them, we celebrate them wherever we see them. But I wish there could be, I don't know, a celebration for the previous generations, the squads that were in there. Yes, maybe the one person that would stand tall in the current Banyana setup and the previous ones is Janine van Wyk.
Yeah.
You know, she's celebrated and we love that. But there are other parties within the generations that are seemingly forgotten. You know, if I wasn't a coach for UJ, probably I wouldn't be getting these opportunities. But what about the other ones that I don't even have these kinds of opportunities that I'm receiving right now? That's what I'm talking about. But in terms of where we are, in terms of the national team, in terms of women's soccer in our country, I can definitely applaud people that are in leadership. They've done well. You know, they've done so much in terms of growing the game and growing the status of the game and the quality of the leagues that we have now in the country, as well as the quality of the national teams.
I must ask, you know, I'm a person who loves reading quotes.
Yeah.
They drive me. They depend on how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling like I want to read about leadership or success, all of those things. It just, I've got this app called the I Am app, and it's about affirmation, daily affirmation. So they always inspire me. So I'm always inspired by how other people are thinking and what drives them. So what does it mean for you to own your own truth?
It means I don't have to tweak it. It means I don't have to make it fit this room. It can be as big or as small as I want it to be. And it also means that I don't have to lie about it to make people comfortable. It's just top of my head, you know, answering your question. I believe sincerely that if you continuously walk in the light that you're supposed to be walking in, you will not be distracted by the colors that are around, you know, the shadows that are around. They will not distract you because you know this is where I'm supposed to be and this is how I'm supposed to be doing things. So owning my own truth means even if someone was to come tomorrow and say, yeah, but I didn't like what you said, or I didn't like how you looked at me, but guy, it's not like I'm going to switch like a flip like a switch. Because you are not happy with this, now I must appease you. And the next person will not be happy with what I just did for you. So now I must appease them. What about me? I'm falling apart. There's a quote from I don't know who it is, but I learned it from someone very close to me who said, you cannot set yourself on fire in order to keep others warm. So I've held on to that amongst other meaning quotes that I live by. My players, when I talk to them in team talks, there's a quote. There's always a quote or 3 quotes that I must give them. So, but that one, you know, it resonates with me so well. You cannot set yourself on fire, Mbali, to keep others warm. Because you are going to die and they will be warm and they're going to walk away after that.
I must ask, what do you know now that you wish you knew then?
Then as in when I was playing?
Yeah, or even just your younger self. What do you know now as Coach Dunga, who's a retired national team player, went through what you went through. You know, earlier on we're talking about, just off air, we're talking about your dad passing on in 2016, and how much of a pivotal role he played in your footballing life, and just the transitions of the different parts of your life. So what do you know now that when you look back, you wish you knew then?
Yeah. I'll zone in into the passing of my father. I think it taught me two things. One was that I don't know how to talk about my feelings. I talk a lot. I can talk about each and every thing. We ask us to talk about this blue chair. We can talk all day long about this blue chair, but I don't know how to talk about my feelings, my actual feelings. And I've learned to do that slowly but surely. I try to actually talk to myself first before I can talk to the next person. And the other thing was to always just believe in God and truly believe in God. And not just God, but gods as well. My ancestors. Those two commodities, for me, they mean the world. They mean everything to me, God and gods. I think what I didn't know back then was how strong I am. I've always thought my strength was my father. And losing my dad, you know, you feel like, I don't have anything else. And so my strength actually came in leaps and bounds after my father passed on, because I needed to be strong. You know, I needed to be strong not only for myself but for my family, my mom, my siblings. And if you've got nothing else to do but be strong, you will be strong.
What's one of those key lessons as we now reach the end of our conversation, that when you think of your dad, what is that one thing that always reminds you of him, or like a key lesson of value that helped shape the kind of person that you are today? Because you've got such a strong head on your shoulders. You're so decisive and assertive, and you know what you want. So what is one of the what is a value that maybe when you think of your dad, he left you with?
That guy left me with the Bible. Now you want me to just take one?
Take one or two.
Look, he used to joke and say, and it would be funny when you're listening to it, but in essence, now it makes sense. He used to say, "Kona, hey, motho ke sebodu." You know, motho ke sebodu. You take a rotten meat or plate of food, and you try and shy it away from rotting. You know, when you're cooking and you think, hey, this thing has been here, it's a bit off-ish. But if I throw it in the fridge a little bit, you know, just to cover the smell, right? And you put it in the fridge and it ices up, right? And then after some time, you're like, let me take it out, get repair that thing again, or I'm going to warm it again. You take it out, you put it in the microwave. The moment you put it in the microwave, it goes back to the rotten stage. And my dad used to say, that's how people are. You'll take someone, you'll believe that someone, because they now realize, and I'm gonna lose 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then they throw themselves in the freezer. They make themselves, you know, Mbali, I need you to see that I'm a good person. I need you to see that I'm worthy of your time. I need you to see that I'm trustworthy, you know. And then you take them, you bring them closer. They feel your warmth. They warm up. And what do? Right back. They go back right there where you thought, where you should have tossed them in the bin to begin with. And it's a bad narrative to look at life that way, but it has helped me, because people, if they do it the first time, they'll do it again and again and again. And it's not just for people, it's for situations as well. It's for friendships, it's for relationships, it's for, as you mentioned, decision making. If I've gone through something and the end of it was wrong, and I try to make it, no man, this relationship, it was my fault, let me try and look at it this way, and then you go back to it again, you're still gonna get heartbroken. So yes, you might say that I'm cynical because of how my father brought me up, but it has helped me navigate my life. My friendships, you're either my friend or you're not my friend.
Sure.
And it's okay. I won't fight you. It's your choice, it's your journey, and I'm also working on another journey. If we happen to be friends for 20 years, that's good. If we happen to be friends for 2 months, that's also good.
Coach Dunga, thank you so much for coming on. I hope I'm her friend today. Coach, thank you so much. Sure, what a life, what a story. Condolences to your dad, or to you regarding your dad. I know it's a bit of a big gap in your heart, but we celebrate the life and him contributing to the kind of person that you are today. All the best for the league. Your team is doing well. So there's clearly something that you're doing well. All the best as well. I know you're busy with your C license right now. And it's your Scottish C license right now. So all the best for that. And I feel like there's just still so much to unpack, but I can't believe the hours flown by. But hopefully you'll come back and have a part 2.
Yeah, hopefully. And thank you for having me, Mbali. Thank you for giving me the time to just chat. You've done something just by this, so thank you, and I wish you guys success, bigger and bigger from this.
We take the blessings. Remember to subscribe to my channel, Behind the Star. Stay tuned for more content. You never know, hey, we might just have another person like Coach Dunga coming on next day. All right, cheers, bye guys, see you, bye.